If you've ever been on the internet, which I'm going to assume you have, because you are right now, let's be completely honest here, you've probably seen clickbait. Now, clickbait is that stuff that makes an article or video look really interesting, but how does it work? What's the science behind it, and why do companies do it? Back in its infancy, YouTube was covered with clickbait, but a certain kind of clickbait. In fact, there were two kinds. There's the kind we still see today, with titles that really exaggerate what's going on, and then there's the second type, the type that really appealed to the males of YouTube, by putting giant breasts on the thumbnails. I mean, think about it. Most men like looking at women, and the majority of women don't mind looking at women. Meaning that if you are scrolling through YouTube and you see like, oh my god, 100 kills in COD, and then like an attractive female in the thumbnail, you're like, clickety click click click. And though the image usually had nothing to do with what was in the video itself, a surprisingly large amount of people would just stick around, and there are actually some smaller channels which got quite a bit of their fame through that. Now, that kind of clickbait just appealed to the sexual side of people's personas. As you're scrolling through, you're like, oh yeah, look, someone dying, and something happening, and ooh, breasts. But there is a second kind of clickbait. The kind of clickbait that is a lot more common nowadays, considering if you see breasts in a YouTube video and they're not in the video itself, people tend to get pretty annoyed at this point. So what is it? Well, a lot of people do like, they said XYZ and then what happened next is heartbreaking. Or things like, I can't believe they did that. Or things like, number 9 on the list, completely unbelievable. And the idea is you're like, wait, what happened? Because your brain hates questions. Your brain wants everything to be compartmentalized, everything to make sense. So when you see, you won't believe what just happened, your brain goes, what just happened then? Tell me, I want to know. Clickbait works essentially in the same way as earworms do. Now, if you don't know what an earworm is, it's when you get a song stuck in your head because you remember a lyric, but you can't remember the next lyric on. The best way to get rid of an earworm is, in fact, to just listen to the song you've got stuck in your head, because your brain then links up the next lyrics and it kind of forgets because it knows what comes next now. It doesn't have that question of, oh, what was that word after I just can't? It was get, maybe? But within that second kind of clickbait, there's a little sort of mini group, I'm going to refer to it as, the top 10 list, or lists in general. Because here's the thing, us as humans really like judging each other, to the extent that we will find any excuse we can to argue. And things like top 10 list of episodes of Doctor Who? That's a perfect opportunity. In fact, you get a double whammy. Not only can you judge someone else's opinion on episodes, you can then contribute yourself, and if it's something like Doctor Who, and if it's like classic episodes of Doctor Who, it also has that nostalgia factor. Heck, some of the most viewed videos on YouTube, like Friday and the Call of Duty trailer, are also some of the most viewed purely because everyone contributes into talking about how much it sucks, meaning that everyone is giving their own opinion and it fuels more opinion and therefore more views as people go back to state their opinion again or argue about it, and trust me, it just happens. It is important though that you use common sense when looking at YouTube titles. Things like weight loss wonder drugs, or things like, oh my god, you shouldn't eat this one food because this one food is the key to everything, is just not true. You have to consider how likely something is. Now, clicking on a top 10 list doesn't mean that you've succumbed to clickbait. Here's the thing though, there's a toss-up between clickbait and over-exaggeration. There's a very important distinct difference to be made here. Woody's Gamertag, a YouTuber I watch all the time, he's great, as well as Casey Neistat, both balance this perfectly in my opinion. They'll give a statement that is more or less sensationalizing what actually happens, but usually they deliver on it. Casey Neistat's video about the world's largest ice cream had a thumbnail of a huge ice cream and was called the world's largest ice cream, and there was a statue of an ice cream about this tall, I'd guess, but it wasn't a real ice cream, but the title wasn't technically wrong. The difference comes where you just don't have any element of truth. If he said, oh my god, the world's biggest ice cream, and then didn't mention anything even remotely ice cream related, then it would be an issue. The second kind of people that use clickbait tend to be a bit more desperate. These are companies or media outlets that just aren't getting the views they once used to, or are really struggling to survive, and they tend to use that clickbait without that end result, with the idea of luring people in to look at their content so they can make some kind of money, because surprisingly enough, quite a lot of media outlets judge how well you're doing not by the quality of what you've written or what you've produced, but by how many views it gets. That's why things like BuzzFeed are full of a minute and a half of no one actually talking and just a camera and things happening and like someone being like swiping on a phone and then text on the screen being like, oh my god, this is so amazing. Because for them, it's not about high quality content, it's about how many views they can get. And sure, sometimes the content is actually really good. BuzzFeed, surprisingly enough, is capable of really good videos every now and again, but they try to bolster their views as much as possible by producing that low quality content. It's important to note that by low quality, I don't mean low production quality, as in like camera or microphone. I mean as in like low quality of content, what's actually happening within the videos. Anyway, hopefully after this, you've got a bit more understanding of how clickbait works, and hopefully you're that little bit more immune. So next time you're scrolling through Facebook and they go, oh my god, you won't believe what happened next, you don't care enough to click on it. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. This is probably the most clickbaity Snappy-Tech video title we've ever had, and hopefully it'll be the most clickbaity title we'll ever have in the future. But if you liked the video, make sure to hit like. If you didn't, I'm not quite sure why you're still here. However, you can click up here to see the previous video, which is a really good one, trust me. Click on it, you won't be disappointed. But if that's not for you either, you can click up here to see a random video I haven't picked yet. It could be absolutely anything. And by that I mean like, there are phone unboxings, there are some reviews, there's a bit of me kayaking, anything could happen. Hit subscribe to see more videos like this one, and I'll see you guys next time.